Hey y'all, this is Tyler Blake from Exowhips again. Hello. Um, this week I am going to address a request I got from Alan on Facebook about how to do a setup for the coral snake pattern. The coral snake pattern is very attractive. A lot of people will say that it's their favorite pattern. So I'm going to show how to do a 12 plate setup for this, and I'm going to use the traditional colors for that. Hopefully, sometimes monitors and cameras can do weird things with colors, but I've got two strands of black, two strands of neon yellow, and two strands of imperial red paracord, coreless. You could also, I have plans to play around with the basic theme using some different colors. I want to do like brown tones with neon orange instead of yellow for the stripe. I haven't done that yet, but hey, I'm still a young man. So, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. This will probably be a little bit shorter of a video than some of the ones that I've been doing lately. So, the coral snake can be a little bit not I don't know if intimidating is the right word, but a little bit frustrating to figure out at first. But once you get the hang of it, it's pretty simple. And I'm not going to show a 16 plate, but I'm going to describe a simple way to adjust for that instead. Now, I pretty much always plate from the tip to the heel nut because I use the English eye hitch. And also, I don't really make whips purely out of paracord. I use my smaller wave lace, but I do use paracord for the carapace. So I have done a couple of coral snake whips that had black thongs and then the coral snake on the carapace, and this is how I would plate it going back. But y'all can use, for those of you who do plate from the heel going towards the tip, this is basically just a square start that, if you had a little, if you have your handle on a hook, or if you're doing a snake whip, you could have it hooked on a vise or whatever, and this method would work just fine. So, we're just going to start off with 3 X's, okay? So I've got, and the black and the red would be interchangeable on this. It really doesn't matter if you want to do the traditional coral snake. And if it's not like there's a law, right, that says you have to do it, you could do black for the stripe or red for the stripe or whatever you want. So, um, but for the traditional style, the yellow is going to be the middle X, okay? So, there I have those. And those are going to follow, so that's the simple way to remember how the setup goes. So this is for 12 plate, because since these are doubled up, although I only have 6 strands, they're doubled, so it becomes a 12 plate, right? And so if I wanted to do a 16 and I was still following that traditional coral snake pattern, I would just do one more strand, which becomes 2 of black, and one more strand, which becomes 2 of red. And if I don't, this may not show up on camera, but this one that goes diagonally, from let's say from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock here, if that were a clock, um, I would do another one going in this direction, and just like with any of these plating patterns, it's going to go over and under. So the middle X on the yellow, I think this one probably shows up a little bit better on camera. The strand that I'm holding on to goes under, so it's going to go over that black there, right? And then the middle branch is going to go like that. So that's what we have so far. I'm going to pull this down a little bit. And I don't have a coral snake whip in the pipe right now, but I want to do another one before too terribly long, so I just went ahead and cut enough lace. Even though I'm just plating on a dowel for this demonstration, I didn't have a project whip ready to go. But when I do get around to doing another coral snake, I just went ahead and cut the amount of lace that I need for that, so I'm not wasting anything. So the red is going to, same thing. So this piece is going to go over and then under the black. Oops. Hopefully my fingers aren't in the way and you can see that clearly. Okay. And over on this side, this piece goes over its red counterpart, so it's going to come under the yellow and over the black. Okay. So now I have my 3 X's and they are interlocked, right? So now, just for those of you who aren't familiar with the Square Start, you really need to get the Ron Edwards book. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't tell you what page they show that on or anything, but it's quite an easy way to start a plate of any pattern and any count on a handle without having to use tacks or tape or rubber bands or anything like that to hold it on. Okay. So there is the Square Start, right? And I think the what's considered the proper way to do this is to start with the checkerboard, but I'm not going to bother with that. I want to go ahead and get into the part where the coral pattern starts to pop out. So okay, so that went under 3 and over 3, and this will come around and go under 3 over 3. Now I'm just going to snug those up a little bit. Okay, and so your pattern is going to follow that design where you have 1 yellow, 2 black, 1 yellow, 2 red, 1 yellow, etc., etc. It's going to follow that as long as you keep this plate count. And for me, because I plate from the tip, I add strands in. So like and a lot of the time on an exo whip, whether it's a snake or a bull, or I will usually start the carapace with. So if I was doing a coral snake, let's say an exo snake with the coral snake pattern, I would usually start the carapace with a 12 plate, and I might well end up with a 16 or at least a 14 because you still have taper on that last section of the whip. So and I would probably. You could, if when earlier I said about the 16 plate, you would add a strand of red and a strand of black. You could double up on the yellow and just have a wider yellow stripe, but just my personal opinion is that it would look better keeping the yellow as, kind of like a pinstripe. Because it's the only one that's going to circle all the way around continuously. So, if I were adding strands in, I would just, at the right moment, I would add in a black and go a little further and add a red in, or vice versa, and then I would be at a 16 plate. But I would still have the same pattern. It would just have a little bit more red and a little bit more black. So you can see where that's starting to develop now. I really hope the red shows up on camera. I probably should have picked a lighter red, but I didn't think of it until I'm looking at the screen on my tablet here, and I guess it shows up okay. And this is not anatomically correct. There was a rhyme. So I grew up in Texas, and we have venomous snakes down in the south. I was born in Virginia, and there's a rhyme about being able to tell the difference between a coral snake and I think it's a king snake. And it has to do with what color yellow touches, because I think it went on a king snake, yellow touches black, and on a coral snake, yellow touches red. So on this, it does both, and that don't use this to decide whether it's safe to be around a snake that you're not sure about. But I think it was yellow and black turn your back, meaning the snake is safe, and yellow. Or no, it was you know what? I have no idea. But I remember something about it was either red and yellow kill a fellow or black and yellow kill a fellow. And that's really not helpful at all, is it? So, anyway. So I'm almost done here. And the way the coral snake pattern works is from the, if you think of it as front and back or vice versa, you'll have that, you know, black, black, yellow, red, red, yellow, and so on and so forth. But then on the side seams, it switches from black to red and from red to black. So I'm going to pull this out of the clamp and see if I can get a... Oops, don't need that. Okay, so there we go. So from the front or back, it's going to look like that, where you have the two colors and then the yellow stripe. The yellow stripe goes all the way around. But on the side seams, it's going to transition from black to red or from red to black, depending on which one you're on. By the way, this was the best thing that I had to plate on. It's a little bit thick for a 12 plate, so I probably would have done this, and if this were the thickness of a whip, I probably would have gone 14 or 16. But just for demonstration purposes, I figure that's okay. So there you go. That's the coral snake pattern. If anybody else has questions about how to set up a specific pattern or anything at all, please let me know. You can email me at tyler@exowhips.com, or you can get a hold of me. My my Facebook page for my whips is exowhips, and you can find me on Instagram, and I am on YouTube once in a while too. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will see y'all on the next one. I think on the next one, so this will be next Friday. I'm going to do long lace management. We were having a discussion online not too long ago about how to keep from letting all these things get tangled when you're working on a long whip. Okay, thanks y'all. See ya.